everyone's experience on how they have applied the topics that we have discussed in the previous session. So that's our kind of ritual. So we will begin with that. So if anybody would like to share your insight, please. Yes, Cassie.
Well, just in my meditation this week, I was trying to do it throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm washing dishes, I was doing meditation and thinking of purification, washing hands, and just trying to bring it into everything that I was doing as much as possible.
Okay, that's
some
great.
aspect of it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone?
Well, I'll share this. I had an unusual opportunity on Thursday. I worked in my work career for 20-some years for a company that made implantable medical devices, pacemakers and defibrillators that save human lives and make people's lives better. And a very remarkable, unusual company where people were so engaged in what they were doing and so connected to each other that they periodically have a reunion. I've never seen a place where people have a work reunion. I've seen high school reunions, but this is a work reunion. And the last one was about 7 years ago, and there were people there I hadn't seen in 20 years, and they felt close enough to these people that they worked with so many years ago that they came back to see them. There were about 400 people there, just a huge crowd. And some of them are now in their 80s and long retired, and some of them are still working, some are now at the height of their careers, but they were genuinely glad to see each other. And they were genuinely glad to share the fact that they had shared something that was very, very special, a very special time together, and do some very good things together. And so I had a chance to walk around the room and do a lot of rejoicing at how well people were doing, how well they'd done, and feeling a lot of gratitude that I had the very special privilege to work with all these people for so many years. So it was a very nice Dharma practice in a way.
That's very good. Yeah, this feeling rejoice is normally considered, or what you call extolled for its benefit. You don't need to spend anything. So when you see somebody doing well, you just rejoice. So it's so good. First of all, it really fills you with joy and happiness. And then, also that kind of counters jealousy. When you see somebody doing well, just rejoice, oh, that's really good. So from your own part, you don't have to spend anything. Just this mental attitude. And it's so good. So that's why it's the cheapest way to cultivate. So when it comes to actual Buddhist practice, so when you rejoice others' Dharma practices, you also gain what you call the same amount of merits. So that's the easiest way to cultivate merit or virtuous action. So that's very good. Anyone? Please.
I looked up training elephants. And so I saw some videos, and I thought, yeah, my mind is a really big, nasty elephant. But there was also notes on elephant training about the ethical treatment of elephants. And I guess I'm wondering, is there such a thing for our own mind? To be ethical, but I don't know, it's a bad elephant.
That's what we are trying to do, remember, with the rope and the staff.
Yeah, kindness.
Again, that's why there's a phrase that's called, please hold me with the hook of your compassion. Yeah, sometimes you need the hook to get back here.
Yeah, so what we have been discussing so far is all about taming this wild mind, which is akin to wild elephant. At the moment we have let it loose, we are not controlling it, actually it is controlling us. So from now on we are saying that, hey, I am the boss. I should be taking the rein, not you. So that's what we are trying to achieve here. So it's good that you are trying to apply what we discuss in every session. And then you apply, of course, as I mentioned, that it won't be an instant thing, but there will be what is called the incremental progress. You won't notice that for the first few months, but if you persist on applying, bringing that again and again, then there will come a time that, oh yeah, it works, I have changed.
I have, I was given by one of my clients some years ago. She was from India, and she had gone to India, and she says, oh, I don't know why I'm giving you this, I don't know, this is the best thing I could find, and it was this alabaster white elephant, and she didn't understand, she didn't know, and she said, oh, it's very, very good, and so I have it in my meditation room, and also, I have a picture of, and some of it you've given me, also, Anthony. I love Samantha Bhadra, and he's on top of the elephant. So I have that, and consequently, related to last week, I've been, reading more about and familiarizing myself and making myself sit on the cushion more often. I do practice the analytical meditation and taking all this teaching and applying them, but actually, the visualization, and now I have a new one, we talked about it, and it's more appropriate for me, and I'm getting familiarizing, and it feels, I feel more connected to the Buddha. It's a nice thing,
Okay, that's good. That's good. Anyone? Okay, so that's good. Please continue doing that. So we have discussed in the past few sessions, we're all about actually today's topic, maximizing human potential. Last week we talked about living a meaningful life, and I think we have seen what happened to John McCain. Look at his funeral. So many people gathered and celebrated his life. So we want to be like this. And when I was doing my undergraduate, so one of our lecturer, he was also the head of the psychology department. So he passed away suddenly. And I attended his wake, and I was so surprised that, that during the wake, they always ask people to come and, talk about the person's quality. And I was so impressed that one after another, there are so many people going up there. And it is, you can see that it's really spontaneous, really genuine. They're not trying to, make the story, but it is very spontaneous, really spontaneous. So I thought that, wow, this is, how, at that time it really hit me. It is so important to live an ethical life, to live meaningfully, to live a good person. Then when you die, people really remember. People have things to say about you, good things. So let's say if you did not live an ethical life, a good person, meaningful life, even if you have a wake, people will come, and people will have difficulty going up and saying good things, because you are not. And then I attended another wake. That was more of an anniversary. And that time, they keep calling out, anybody want to come up and share? Very few. So that contrast. For one person, it's like, okay, we have enough. We don't have time. People still want to go and talk about that person. In the other occasion, the organizer is calling anybody. So when this kind of happens, even those whom we leave behind, when they see this, let's say if you lived a very meaningful life, and those whom you leave behind, they don't feel that bad. It's like, okay, the person lived a very good life. So there is a comfort there. If you fail to do that, and then of course, first of all, the consequences to yourself, we don't know. But even those who are left behind, and they won't feel that comfortable on top of losing that person. So that is so important to really live a meaningful life. And this, in the first, we talked about the importance of this life. We discussed about leisure and endowments. So this is reflection, contemplating on these is one way to motivate us to live a meaningful life. And today what we are discussing is another way, another method to really drive us to fully utilize this life. We discussed in the last session that, how if we really put this life to good use, it can achieve a lot of things. But our tendency, our habit is just to waste it away. We are so engrossed after chasing wealth and material pursuit. And we don't realize that how we are wasting this precious life away. So today's topic is contemplation on death and dying, which is normally in many societies a taboo. People don't want to talk about it. And some people, when they come to Buddhist talks, and then, of course, they will talk about this, and then, Buddhism is so depressing. Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And you're unfortunate that your first class happened to be, talking about death and dying.
Maybe I'm fortunate, starting at the right place, perhaps.
Maybe, that's the attitude. Yeah. Yeah. So, there are reasons why we need to talk about death and dying. So in Lamrim text, it listed a number of advantages and also disadvantages. So we will begin with the disadvantages. What happens if we don't think about it? We'll not remember to practice Dharma. That's true, isn't it? From our own experience, we can tell that even though we know that we will die, but we don't really have this conviction that we may die anytime. We don't have this conviction that death is, the time of death is uncertain. Deep down we keep thinking that I will not die today, I will not die today. That's why we keep making plans. And I'm sure you must have made plans for next year's, what you're going to do for this Christmas, or what are you going to plan to do next year, and you have all these plans. So this shows, or this suggests that deep down we have this assumption that we will live, we will not die today. But if you remember that, life is uncertain, I may die any day, any time. Today I'm well, but nobody can guarantee that I will be alive next day, tomorrow morning. So when you constantly remind of this uncertainty of time of death, then you will prepare. You will realize that other things that you are doing now are not so important. You will really focus on those means a lot to you, rather than just wasting your time and effort on other things which in the end is no use. So when I was studying this master's degree, so I stayed on campus. So knowing that I will be only there for a short period of time, and then when I go to do marketing, and I will see this, normally I like to go to medicine shop and you will see this. And they say, oh no, I don't need it because I won't be here long. I have to move somewhere else. And you see this, oh, you feel like buying it, and then you tell yourself, oh, I'm just here for temporary, I don't need this. So that's what happens when you have this thought. Then you will not plan for all this. You will do something that really matters to you, that really counts. So that's why I'm saying that if you are not mindful of death, then what happens is you will not remember to practice Dharma, because you think that you don't realize that you will die any minute. So that is one disadvantage. Then of course, even if you remember, sometimes you remember to practice, but then you will think that, oh, first let me make money. Let me finish this project. Let me do this. And once I finish this, I will practice. Then I will do this important stuff, important things. First let me do this. So you prioritize differently. So Dharma practice comes last. Other things becomes the priority. And then of course at the end, even if you try to do, your practice won't be pure. Your practice will be stained by worldly concerns. Most of us do practice, but our practice, if you really examine whether that is a real practice, but we know that it is not. Most of the time, there is this worldly concern there. Even coming here, if you just come for the sake of gaining knowledge, intellectual knowledge, so that I can be knowledgeable person. So that's also worldly concern. Then if you do most of the lay people, they practice like Tibetan community. It is very obvious when there is this kind of teaching, Tibetan people won't come. But when you say that there's a long life puja, there's a wealth puja or initiation, people will come. This shows that you want to have achieved long life. Comes back to this life's concern. If you are giving Dambala initiation, a lot of people will come. This is about wealth. To make yourself wealthy, to help you become wealthy, there will be a lot of people. That is also making money. So it's all this. And even when we do prayer, and Tibetan people, they will go and do this, what is called tea offering, Jinju. You will see that if you especially go to where I came from, in Dehradun Tibetan settlement there, every morning around 5-4, people will wake up early morning and with a kettle, a small jug of tea, black tea, they will go to offer that to protector. For what? To get visa, or success, immigration, whatever it is. All that purpose. But if you look from outside, it's like, wow, they are doing practice. But inside it's all about, oh, my son gets a good job. My son gets visa to go to America. It's all about worldly concerns. So that's why he's saying that. That's because you are not mindful of death. Somehow, okay, yeah, sorry. Yeah, then lack of intensity. So even we try to do pure, but there's no power, there's no intensity, there's no what you call impetus to really push you through all this. When you feel a bit tired, okay, no need to do it. And then create negative karma. Can you relate how not thinking of death leads to creating negative action? Can you think of how this is connected? You can think, yeah? Okay, good. Yeah, so when you are not aware, when we are not aware of death, impending death, what happens is we plan to live. So in order to live, we need to have all these survival things. We need to make money, we need to get job, we need to be famous, we need to pursue this and that. In the course of that, those who helped you to achieve all these material things, you develop attachment. Then you protect them. You will do all kinds of things for these people. And then those who are trying to thwart your goals, you develop aversion and you develop anger, hatred, jealousy, all this. So that's what happens when your focus is all about material pursuit, all these worldly concerns, fame, name, game, whatever, all this. So that's why I'm saying that if you are not mindful of that, then your whole concentration will be on this life. And that's where you engage in all these negativities. And then, eventually, when the time comes, what happens? You die with all kinds of regrets. And there is a book, The Top 5 Regrets. So this is by this Bronnie Ware. She worked in palliative care. So there are so many terminally ill people. So during their last few months, when she was treating them, actually she's taking care of them. So she asked these people, what are your regrets? And most common, these are the top regrets. I wish I have done this, I wish I have done this. So even though you can see here there's no real Dharma thing there, but my point is that you will have so many regrets if you don't start doing something, if you don't start living your life meaningfully. So you don't want to end up like these people. You don't want to say, oh, I have regret. You would like to say, I have no regrets. I have done my best. So that's why in Lamrim it says that it differentiates between the practitioners, the top practitioners. They say that if for top practitioners, they feel joy to die. Because they are old now, they just want to change the body and start again. So instead of fear and all this thing, they are joyful, they look forward, they are ready to go. And then medium practitioner, they have no, what is that word? Dreading, is it? Is there such a word?
Dread, yeah.
Yeah, dread, there's no dread. And then at least the lowest practitioner, they have no regrets. So we must try to fit in one of these. Of course, if you are able to fit in the top one, that's great. If not, at least try to be in the least category where you will have no regrets. So that's why we're saying that we have to think about death. If you don't think about it, it's not going to go away. You will still die. Death will still come. It's not like, let's say if the road is bad and all this thing, if you avoid it, of course, you can avoid it. If you take another road, then of course you won't be. But that, yeah, if you don't talk about it, it's not like it's not coming. It will still come. So it is better to think about it, talk about it, and be ready when it finally comes. So if we contemplate on death, if we are mindful of death, then what happens is acceptance arises. So this Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, she came up with this 5 stages. Of course, it's now a bit outdated. They said there are other things, and also this stage doesn't really follow according to this.
Yeah.
But these are some of the things happens. So when you are diagnosed with, let's say, terminal illness, then yeah, first thing is denial, and then anger. Why me? So I was told by hospice workers that, there's a difference between HIV patients and cancer patients. HIV patients, some of them, they don't ask this question, why me? Because they know that they are responsible. Some of them, they know where they got that. But most of the time, cancer patients, they ask, why me? Why me? I lived very ethically, so why me? And then of course those who believe in Creator, they all go, why me? Then they question God. But as a Buddhist, we don't have this question. And I think I shared with you, in Tibetan community, it is very rare that people go through depression. Very rare that people suffer what is called prolonged grief. So when you lose somebody, your loved ones, yeah, grief is a natural way to tackle that. It is an emotional response. People go through grief. But when it goes too long, that's a problem. And then you go into depression. But in Tibetan community, it is very rare because we have this spontaneous understanding of karma. Oh, it's my karma. So somehow that, what you call, I'm looking for another word.
Attribution.
Yeah, that minimizes that effect. I'm looking for another word. Never mind. Yeah, basically it helps with that understanding. So that actually it's under, it is acceptance, form of acceptance. So when you have acceptance, then it is easier. So in this, the stages, they say that meaningful action only arises or happens when this acceptance happens. So many people are stuck on this. Some stuck on the denial stage, some stuck at the anger stage, some are trying to bargain, and then of course some go into depression. But eventually when they are able to accept their situation, only then they started to make plans. So that was quite a tricky one, acceptance. So when my father was diagnosed with cancer, it was already stage 4. So I was in these 2 minds, whether to tell him or not to tell him. Because if I tell him and if he lose hope, normally when you say cancer, it's like cancel. Tibetan people especially, they have no understanding or no knowledge of all this. So they know about cancer. So cancer equals cancel. It's like, that's it, I'm going to die. So I don't want to kind of, diminish that whatever hope there is. I want my father to have some hope there so that, sometimes you never know with treatment it will work, but you need to have this strength. And on the other hand, if I don't tell him, he needs to make arrangements. If he knows that it is cancer, maybe he will then prepare for the next life instead of this life. So I was in these 2 minds, but eventually I decided to tell him because that's best for him. as a practitioner, he would be able to prepare. If I just lie him, or it's just nothing happens, that will not help him. So that's why the acceptance is so important. So when you are mindful of that, and you keep thinking about this, then acceptance will arise. And then other benefit is, of course we will later maybe we will go. Now the advantages, so it's more like the opposite. It's most beneficial, will be able to practice Dharma. So that is, you are able to really utilize your life in a meaningful way, because you know that there is no time. Time is very short. Whatever you have is so precious. So with that, you will try to focus. You will try to kind of narrow down your goals. And then whatever positive actions you do, it will be very powerful, because it is really driven by one goal, one motivation, that is to make sure that you have a meaningful life. So you won't be distracted by worldly concerns. Your prayer session, even if you do some Dharma practices, it will be pure. And then, important at the beginning, so this is like motivation. So when you are mindful of your death, then it kind of triggers something inside you to practice Dharma. So it drives you, it's like the driver. So we have seen people, when they were diagnosed with terminal illness, only then they become very spiritual. Yeah, in many, I have been to other centers there. Many of the members who come there, they had something, some incidents. So that's why now they thought, what I have been doing is not what you call, not worthy. So they look beyond this worldly concern. So that's why they come to Dharma centers. So this acts at the beginning, acts as a driver. And then in the middle, it helps you to foster perseverance. When you get tired, when you get distracted, this is when you think of mindful, when you think of your death, it will push you to do the right thing. It will give you energy to sustain your practice. And then eventually, you will be able to make your life meaningful. In the end, when the time comes, you will be able to say that I have no regrets. I tried my best. Instead of saying, I should have done that, I should have done this, you can say that I have no regrets. I tried my best. That's what we want to achieve. And that's, if you have lived your life meaningfully, and then what happens? You can die with peace. Die in peace. You can die with happy minds. There's no regret. So that's what Lam says about it. So what does science say about it? There are empirical evidence. So there are so many, I'm just bringing some as an example. So they have done this research, experimental research, where they put people in different conditions. So one group of people, they reflect on death, and then they see that, their gratitude level. And then of course another group, they don't really meditate on death. But they found that those who are in the death reflection condition, they tend to score high on gratitude. And then of course, there is also reflecting, thinking about death is one of the 6 habits. We have now these books, the 6 habits of successful people and all this. So what the research did was, so they kind of looked at those people who score high on gratitude, sense of gratitude, And then they came up with these common kind of themes, common traits. And one of them is that, yeah, they tend to reflect or contemplate on death. And then, of course, the third one, of course, it is obvious. Increases appreciation for life. That is when the people who have recovered from this cancer or some cancer survivor, all this. So these people tend to have greater appreciation of their life. So if likewise, if we think about this imminent death, so we will be able to appreciate what we have more. We have discussed already. Most of the times, yeah, we take for granted. Whatever we have, we take for granted. Instead of focusing on what we have, we always look for some things. He has this one, I don't have this, and that one, I don't have this. But if we are able to focus on what we have, we already have, and then this satisfaction, this contentment, then yeah, our life will be different. Then of course reduces greed and increases intrinsic motivation. So we know that greed has no limit. So that's why greed is very dangerous. One major cause of unhappiness is disappointment. So greed plays a big role in bringing disappointment. So greed has no limit. So we want this, we want this. But of course, we cannot achieve whatever our desire wants. So when we don't get that, then there's a disappointment. Then with disappointment, there is unhappiness. So if we are able to think about impending death, then it will kind of reduces this desire, this greed for other things. So now, how do we do that? How do we go about cultivating this mindfulness of death? So in Lamrim, it gives methods or different points to contemplate on, so that we will be able to cultivate this mindfulness of death. So there are three main points, reflection. So the first one is, death is certain. And then second one is, even though death is certain, if there is a fixed time, it is good, we can prepare. But it says the time of death is uncertain. It can come any time. And then at the time of death, if our possessions, our materials, our fame, our name, if all this helps, our friends, families, if all this helps at the time of death, yes, it is worth doing all that, helping our friends, taking care of all this, focusing our effort in this life. But it says that all that does not help at the time of death. So each one, the Lamrim provides three reasons why it is so. Remind me when it's 11, yeah?
We have plenty of time. Do you want my watch here?
I have, yeah. Thank you. So the first one, the contemplation that death is certain. So of course this one, we don't really need to discuss it. We know that death is certain. Because the Lord of death is definitely coming and nothing can prevent it. When we look back, look at the history, so many great people have come. But now they are just in names, in books. We go to the museum, we see, wow, this great that person. One time, yeah, this person did this, did that. But they're all in names. All gone now. Even our ancestors, our grandparents. Even for me, my father also is just a name. It's no more, it's gone. So we all will die. And there's nothing that can prevent it. If of course if you do puja and there's something, there's a ritual that can prevent it, of course we can do that. But none. Even Buddha has to manifest dying. And then all those who have achieved Arahatut and all that, they also have the manifested death. So if they can, if they are under this, what do you call it? Rewind. Rewind. Does not say they can. Yeah. So they have reason to manifest that, to show that, we are all under the control of death. So nobody escapes. Another reason is that our life cannot be extended and constantly diminishes. So if you are to live for 80 years, that's it. There's no extension. But what about long life, empowerment? Have you received any of those long life empowerments? So what does that do?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think maybe it kind of, I don't know whether it really lengthens. Maybe many people die from untimely death. Maybe that kind of fix it. I'm not sure. So anyway, it says that there's no extension. We cannot apply for extension. And each time while we are sitting, we are going towards that. It is like the river is falling down. As it comes down, it is going nearer and nearer to the ocean. Likewise, even though we are sitting here for 2 hours, we have already walked nearer to death. Then while you are alive, there is little time for Dharma practice. That's where I wanted you to do that exercise. Can you do for me now? Or have you already done that exercise?
You mean this? Oh, fill this
I
out.
already know. Yeah, it's yeah.
Was it per day?
Yeah, per day, yeah. It's just 24 hours.
I recently heard a teaching and they went through lifetime.
Oh.
Added it up for the lifetime and it was a little shocking to think how much of our life is spent doing things.
If there are other things you can add, that's all I could think about. So anyway, that's just to give you an idea. Sometimes we don't think. So when you are asked to do this kind of activity, and then you realize that wow, so that's the intention. So we see that even though we live here and there's not many time. So half of the time, like 6, 7, 8 hours we sleep, and then we spend time eating, preparing food, and then commuting here, there, and then the biggest chunk of the time is given to our work. We go to office, and I'm also starting to work for 10 hours, so that's a big chunk taking away from my practice. Yeah. Yes?
The commuting one reminds me of a story I read recently that was related, is that from my point of view, the length of your commute is a choice that you make about where to live relative to your employment. You're not forced, typically, in most cases, not forced to live a long way away, and you might have a long commute. But someone is proposing the idea that commuting time should be counted as work time. I thought, well, that's just rewarding somebody for having a long commute, but they chose to have it. It's not work related really at all. It's kind of thought, no, that's just another sign that people are in denial about their choices, how they spend their time, and what choices they could make, and somehow this would ameliorate that choice, and say, oh, I get paid for my commuting. Very strange.
That would be good, isn't it, if they pay for your commuting time?
Oh, I'd be doing good with it. Long commute. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But
yeah.
you know, you can do Dharma practice. You can.
Of
do
course,
some,
of course.
You can do,
Yeah, yeah. So that's why, as I mentioned earlier, the good thing about Buddhism is that, when we talk about practice, it is not something, required you to sit there and, close your eyes and do something. When you are at work, when you are commuting, whatever you're doing, you can practice Dharma. It is all about being mindful and kind of watching your mind, wild mind, just having this rein on your wild mind. So if it's going to come up, think about all these negativities, then you just tell them, bring it back. So that's the good part. So it's all about, taming our minds. So if you have this temporary issue, just improving that. If you have jealousy and whatever it is, attachment, ignorance, all this, it is to improve that. So that's the whole point. But you see, most of the time, we don't do that. We say that, yeah, we can, practice Dharma at work. But how many of us really go to work with a good motivation? We don't do that. We just jump out of the bed and then grab something and that's it. We rush to work. And then there, you were all caught up with all these things. And then there's a lot of sometimes anger, jealousy, all these are boiling in there. So there's no practice. But if you are able to do it, then of course you are not wasting your time. You are really utilizing all that hours towards your practice. So that's good. So that's the goal. We should do that. So you can tell from your exercises that how little time you spent or we spent on Dharma practice. So now, this activity we did it today, but end of this year you should do again and you should see an improvement. Oh, few months ago it was this way, or now this way, then this way, this way. Then good. Otherwise, no point. You
So
come
you're
here
doing
every
a pre
Sunday.
and post, eh?
Pre-test, post-test. That's the research method.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Mm. Okay, maybe I should collect all that and for my data. Yeah, I think I really meant it, because that's why I try to prepare, as best as I could. I know that because you come here, you have so many things to do, but you think that this is so important. So you prioritize this over everything else and you come here. And then, it is good that you come here and, we have discussion. But if you just leave it there, then no point. No point. You should have just, done other things. So that's why we must, try to practice. Yeah, as I mentioned, you give that for yourself and you try. And after 3 months, you see whether, there is improvement or not. If there's improvement, that's the way we want to go forward.
Rinpoche, when I was in my working career, I went to a seminar once where they put you at a table, everybody was in a circle, and they said, write down the 5 most valuable or most important things in your life, and then every 30 seconds you had to take one of them and throw it into the middle of the thing.
That's what I was going to do. I'm planning to do for the next. You spoiled that.
I'm sorry, but then so when you find out what the most important thing is, that's supposed to be your priority in life. So so you have the knowledge, you know it, but the thing you're talking about is the experience of it, because the knowing of it, the ultimate knowing of it is experiencing it.
Yeah.
But the conventional knowing of it is just knowing.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. So, yeah, this exercise you're talking about is normally conducted during the hospice training and also death and dying sessions. It's a very powerful exercise. We can do that next Sunday. So now I wanted to show you some statistics. Before we we will discuss on this contemplation that death, the time of death is uncertain. Can you believe? This is in America. Every day, which means approximately every 12 seconds a person dies in the US. So while we are sitting here for that duration of 2 hours, how many people died? We don't realize that. And one of that number could be, one of us. And then this time of death is uncertain. You see, 37,000 people die in road crashes each year. This is year. And then there is no age difference. Normally we think that, oh, children are young, I am young, I won't die. But you see, so now we are talking about, so we now know that death is certain. It is definitely coming. No matter whether you go to any places, you can go to holy place, Tibet, wherever, Bodh Gaya, wherever, death still comes. You can even lock yourself somewhere else. But yeah, you have those tornadoes and all this, you have those bungers, isn't it? But it's like this, of course you can just lock yourself in the bunker and it's okay. Even those presidents have some bunker, isn't it? No, the death will come still. Cannot have. So the first reason why the time of death is uncertain is that the lifespan in this world is uncertain. So I think those who some of you may are familiar with this. We talk about the Mount Meru when it comes to Buddhist cosmology. Mount Meru, and then you have these 4 continents. So one of is what we call our planet, our continent, Earth. And in other continents, one of the continent, Chang Tamini we call it, is in the Chang is on the north. The north continent, it is fixed. Lifespan is fixed. It's 1,000 years. Those beings born in there, you will live for 1,000 years. And then the other 2, they are a bit lower. One is 500 something and another is 250 years. So they are fixed. Their lifespan is almost fixed. So if our lifespan is fixed, that would be good, isn't it? Oh, so now, yeah, for 50 years I will work. Let's say if it's fixed, if we know that we will die at certain time, then it's very good. Okay, I still have, 30 years to prepare for my death. And before that, I will do that. But our continent, the Earth's life, is uncertain. The lifespan is uncertain. Some people, one time when it first began, the life began, people tend to live eternally. There's no age limit. Really, people live long, thousands of years. And then it's kind of dwindled down, and now it's like, what is the average age? Average lifespan?
80 something.
80 something. But yeah, 80 something. And then
in the US.
And then, yeah, according to the Buddhism, there will come time where the maximum lifespan is 10 years. If somebody lives 10 years, it's like, wow, he lived so long. Oh, okay, we will break for 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 or 15 minutes, yeah. Please enjoy tea and then, yeah, discuss. I didn't even have to do this. So we are talking about the time of death is uncertain. So all these are actually exhorting us to practice. So let's say if we really take that to our heart and we practice, and let's say if today we practice so well, and then if we die tonight in our sleep, but you see, there's no regret. We have death may come any time, but we are okay if we continue doing that. So let's say if you do today a very practice throughout your day, and then if you die in the night time, you still did it. But if you did not, then it's a loss. So that's why all these are, as we mentioned here, these really need to be meditated on. That's why it says contemplation, that the time of death is uncertain. So how we should do is about thinking all this, the lifespan. There are three reasons. The time of death is uncertain because the lifespan in this world is uncertain. Then as I explained to you, so you reflect on that, and then you can bring your own experience. Or somebody died, or somebody died, somebody has died. And there is no such thing as, old age, young age. Normally we believe that we have this assumption that, I'm young, I won't die soon. But death does not recognize that. To death, same. Whether you're old or young or child, whatever it is, it comes. And some of us may think that, and right now I'm healthy, I may not die. But then there were cases where an old person was sick for years, and then you die before that. So you cannot give these kind of reasons. These are invalid. Normally, that's what we normally kind of justify our actions. We say, I won't die, I'm now a young man, I'm healthy and all this. It says no, it doesn't happen. So one of the analogy that Nagarjuna uses is that we live amid the condition that cause death like a lamp burning in a howling wind.
Yikes.
Just to illustrate this point.
Yikes.
We know that. So the reason is that the causes of death are many. There are so many causes of death. And even the causes of life becomes the causes of death. People die from medicine, taking medicine. Medicine is supposed to, sustain your life. And food is supposed to sustain our life. People die from overeating, food poisoning, choking. I remember that in Bhutan, I have three younger sisters. So we all love to eat fish. In Bhutan there's dried fish. And my mother prepares that in a very particular way. It's so tasty. So when you have that, you can eat a lot. But then every time our mother reminds us, please be careful, people die from this, the fish bone, yeah. So it's true, you see, even food is supposed to help you survive, but it becomes a cause of your death. And then of course the air. Now we are in the time where the oxygen is polluted in some areas. The oxygen that is supposed to help us is now causing us harm. And in China and all that,
India.
the air pollution is so bad that people have difficulty. So when we think about all this, yeah, you realize that, yeah, there are so many causes. And then, yeah, I was just browsing, there are it's quite a unbelievable number of people who die from, death caused by animals. And one of them is horse. And then, yeah, you have your pets. And people die from, dog bites and all that. So the causes are so many. So that's what Lamrim is trying to point. And then our body. If there are so much, if our body is very strong, then even if there are so many causes of death, it is okay. Our body can take on. But our body is so fragile. People die from just, bee sting, And people die from, maybe what do you call that?
Pinprick.
Thorn prick.
Yeah.
And people just, what do you call it? Sleep in the bathroom, and how many people die? Sometimes we feel that, our body is so solid and so strong. But no, it's very fragile. So when we reflect on all this, then realize that, oh yeah, it is possible. Yeah, the time of death, death can come any minute. Especially I was told the winter is so bad here, and you can go and you may sleep. So when I was at the university, so I could see, from my window I could see the road there. And we had 1 year, we had slit, is it? The
Sleet.
ice, yeah.
Sleep.
So it has formed there. And then the next day or something, they came, this kind of tractor or something came and trying to clean that. I was like, why are they wasting money doing that? Then later I was told that, no, here, if anybody slips here and something happens to them, university can be sued. Is it true?
Mm-hmm.
Is that why you are all clearing your...
Well, also so you can get down the sidewalk, it's hard to tromp through the snow, especially if you're older.
Yeah, I was like, why do you want to, waste, spend money on doing this? If you leave it for a few days, definitely it will thaw away.
Or maybe down south, but not here. It
just gets higher.
It might be 6 months later.
There's sometimes really high. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, the one is
No
just a
issues.
slit. So that's why. What my point is that people die from all kinds of causes. People sleep and then die. So that's why time of death is uncertain. And now the final point: what helps when the time comes? Does our hard-earned money, does it help? And does our relatives and friends that we have adored so much and worked so hard for them, can they be a help? According to Larry, it says no, friends cannot help. When the time comes, you have to leave everything. Even your best of best buddies you have to leave behind. You have to go alone. Resources cannot help. So when we think about it, we wonder, isn't it? Then why are we, so focused on making money? And some people, of course, they work hard and they use it. Some people hoard and hoard and hoard. They are so frugal, they cannot even spend on themselves. And then when the time comes, some strangers get to enjoy it. So instead of, focusing your time on making money, if you are able to spend on doing something meaningful, of course, you can practice Dharma, but there are other meaningful things to do. You can help other people. If you have a lot of money, do some charity work. There are so many needy people. If you do that, that's good enough. You can justify your hard work because you are using for a more higher purpose. In your body that you took so much care of, that also cannot help. That kind of abandons you at the time. Only your consciousness has to leave. You have to leave your body. So to illustrate the whole point, you know this person, Jeff Bezos, is it? Bezos. His net worth is 112 billion. You cannot even imagine that number. And then of course Bill Gates, 99 billion. And this is Warren Buffett,
Yeah.
84 million net worth. So rich. But then look at this too. When the time comes, same. 112 billion cannot help. Just to leave behind. That's why it says the king goes leaving behind his kingdom, a beggar goes leaving his stuff. You know, in Tibet, the beggars goes from door to door begging, and because there are dogs in the house, they normally carry what you call stuff. So that is for them to, protect from dogs. So that's all they have. So when the time comes, they also go. They just leave behind that, and then the king leaving his kingdom. So these all we should really think about. Is it really worth committing our time to all that material thing? We already discussed that how external things cannot really produce lasting happiness. We also discussed that how taming our mind is the source of happiness. So if that is the case, then why not do something worthwhile, something meaningful? Focus your time doing Dharma. So after going through all this, we should arrive at these three resolve or three conclusions. Since that is definite, I must practice the Dharma. First, you have to resolve yourself to practice of Dharma. Commit yourself to practice of Dharma. And then not just simply committing yourself to Dharma. It says that since the time of death is uncertain, not only the death is definite, but the time of death is also uncertain. So, starting right now, from now on, I will practice Dharma. So you have to commit practicing right now. Otherwise, it will be the same old story. Oh, I have to finish this, I have to do that, I have to do that. But we say that these worldly things is like, plucking your hair from your beard. The more you pluck, the more it grows. So there is never a time whereby you will be able to say, okay, I finish this work. There is always something else. There will never come a day where you say, okay, I finish all these worldly things and now I'm going to practice. So he's saying that you have to do. Because at the time of death, nothing except the Dharma can help you. So that's the main point of all that. So are you going to do practice right now, this moment? Let's listen to what His Holiness say.
Death, illness, old age, part of our life, it comes. Now better to look at that part of our life. Sooner or later it will come. Now important is, while we're alive, our day-to-day life should be meaningful. Meaningful means, if possible, help others. If not, at least restrain harming other. That's a meaningful life. Okay. And then at the end come, you will not have any regret. I carry my life honestly, truthfully, more compassionately, and I done something good for others. Then at the end of come, you feel happy. Then according to religious tradition, if there is God, God will look after you. If no God, see, we are self-creation, right? Because of the self-creation. So you done meaningful life, so that's guarantee your next life will be happy, nice life. So that's the non-theistic religious tradition. There's no creator, but oneself as a creator. So goes one's own, like the later part of our life, much depends on early part of your life, study, and including sort of exercise, and then the result, good result come later part of your life. Similarly, this life, we carry meaningful life, helping other. This life utilized for something good for other, more compassionate way. Then, you see, that's effect next life. So therefore, the death is something like change of clothes. Clothes become dirty or old. Then time comes to change. Similarly, this body become too old or too old. Then time comes to change. Okay. So look that way. Otherwise, you see, that is something mystery and dark. So you may get feeling of too much anxiety, fear like that. But if you know about death, and I think either theistic religion, believe God, or non-theistic religion, believe yourself. You carry your life meaningful way, then there's a guarantee. So at the end, no regret. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
This is what Mark Twain says. The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. So there is another analogy to highlight the importance of mindfulness. It is like in the war. If you are in a war, you will be always watching your back. You won't know that when enemy would attack you. So all the time you are watching, you cannot go and just lie down comfortably, because any moment enemy may attack you. So like this, if you are able to be mindful of death, impending death all the time, then definitely it will change us. It will change us in what we focus on. Our priority, then it will change. So at the moment, including myself, our focus is all on this life. When you really examine and analyze what we are doing, it's not going to help us in the long run. Of course we have to work, we have to earn a living, we need to eat food, we need to wear clothes and all that. But if if your main goal becomes that only, solely making money, pursuit of materialism, then that's what he's always saying, that yeah, you will have regret. But if you live your life meaningfully, then of course there's no regret. So that's this whole thing is supposed to help us. And the fear of death. So I think you mentioned, what was it? Somebody mentioned to me earlier. Yeah, fear of death. So sometimes, yeah, this fear of death is not just fearing death. It's like you realize that you haven't prepared. So you are worried that what will happen when the death comes. That's the main fear. You know that, there's no guarantee that, if you are talking about next birth, there's no guarantee at the moment, but you want to ascertain, you want to ensure that, you have this sense of confidence that, if that comes, I am ready, I have done something. Yeah, we need to be able to do that. Have this feeling of confidence. That's what this is supposed to result in. So if we continuously reflect on this and remind yourself, then there will be a change. Yeah, since this topic is a bit, in a way, dark, let's watch something just to de-stress. Have you seen this?
No.
You haven't seen this? You haven't seen this? Okay, good. Because I use this for the summer camp. Those young people. Almost everyone, oh, I've seen this, oh, everybody was like, okay. Then, yes, you haven't seen.
เขาจะได้อะไรถ้าเขาทำแบบนี้ทุกวันเขาจะไม่ได้อะไรเลยไม่ได้รวยขึ้นไม่ได้ออกทีวีไม่มีใครรู้จักไม่ได้มีชื่อเสียงที่มากขึ้นเพราะสิ่งที่เขาได้คือได้แค่ความรู้สึกได้เห็นความสุขได้เข้าใจได้ความรักได้ในสิ่งที่เงินซื้อไม่ได้ได้โลกที่สวยงามกว่าเดิมในชีวิตคุณอะไรคือสิ่งที่คุณต้องการมากที่สุดไทยประกันชีวิตเชื่อในความดี
It spoils, isn't it? It spoils. Yeah. Yeah, so that's for today. I hope that this helped you to kind of de-stress. Good message, isn't it? Yeah. Helping others, you don't receive the fame, you don't appear on TV, but you receive happiness, you become happy. That's the message. Ken is crying. Okay, so that's for today. Any questions? If no questions, then we can end here.
We should say the dedication prayers.
Prayers.
And we'll begin with the first verse of the short mandala offering and then the concluding prayers. Saji Puki Joshi Metro Chan Rira Lingshi Nide Genpadi Sange Shindu Mite Buwayi Drokun Namda Shinla Chupa Sho Yedam Guru Radhamandala Kam Niryatayami. Concluding prayers. Janchu Samcho Rinpoche Maki Panan Ke Gyurchi Kiepa Nyampa Mepaya Goni Gondu Pelwa Sho Jetsun Lame Kutse Rapten Chin Namkar Chunle Chochur Gipadam Lozan Tempe Jome Sasungi Jove Muse Tamtu Ne Gyurchi Gangri Rawe Korwe Shinkandi Pendang Dewa Malu Jungwe Ne Chere Siwan Tenzin Jatsoyi Shape Site Bardu Tengyu Ching Champel Pavu Jita Kempada Kotu Zampo Deyang Deshinte Deda Kunji Jasu Dalochi Kiawa Dida Tamshe Ratu Dusum Shepe Gyawa Tamsheki Yawa Gala Chotu Ngapade Daji Gewe Tawa Dikunka Sapo Chuchi Ratu Mowaji.